Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's our Manchester United 2018-19 season preview, and who would have thought we would be in a situation that we are at the moment. There are currently, as you are watching this, if you are watching it live, under 30 hours left in this transfer window. There has been credible news coming out from the BBC, Simon Stone, in the last couple of hours that Manchester United may not sign anybody else. I am stunned by this. How long will Jose Mourinho last? He's not happy that he's not got the players that he wants. He may now not get those players anyway. And what does that mean to Manchester United's season? Is there any improvement from the end of last season to the start of this season? Is there a 20-point improvement? Have Man City got better or are they worse? That's what you've got to look at. Who are going to be the important players for next season for Manchester United? What are the negatives from the summer? What are the positives? Can they win the title? Let's start off then. As you can see to my left, this is, as things stand right now, what I believe to be Jose Mourinho's best 11. De Gea, Bailly Jones, Valencia Young, Matic, Pogba, Fred, Lingard, Sanchez, Lukaku. I think he's 100% going to stick with the 4-3-3. Which is, as we know, it's not very pragmatic. It is very pragmatic. They don't press. Sanchez gets in Pogba's way. We don't move the ball quickly. We don't create many chances. So I think that's the way we'll go. I know a lot of people will be screaming, saying Phil Jones. Well, the reality is he started last season with Jones and Bailly. Bailly got injured. Whenever Jones has been fit, he picks him. Despite him losing his trophies and points, he will play Jones. Young and Valencia are obviously going to be his centre-backs, and Matic, he's never going to drop him. And I think Lingard will play on the right as well. So is that team any better than last season for a start? No, it's not, is it? I mean, let's be totally honest. That team is not better than last season. In fact, it's arguably worse. The only place I think is slightly better is the fact that you've got Fred in that midfield instead of Fellaini. And I do think that's the way Jose Mourinho is going to go. But the big topic here is Manchester United and the signings they've made this summer, and have they improved over the summer? Because I have no doubts about it. What Manchester United and what Manchester United fans expected to happen this summer was we finished the season in second place, but we're a million miles behind Manchester City. We've got to go and invest. And Jose Mourinho said that. He said, we've got to hope that Man City don't invest, and then we invest quite a lot further than they do. Well, they have invested in Riyad Mahrez, who's a Premier League proven Premier League winner and a right midfielder that improves Man City's already potent attack. What have we done? We've signed a reserve Stoke goalkeeper, a kid from Portugal who's played a handful of games, and a Brazilian midfielder from the Ukraine, who I think will be a very good player, but on paper, Fred is a risk. So we've signed a risk, a kid, and a nobody in the goalkeeper. How does that improve us from last season? Especially when Alex Sandro's been available all summer. There's loads of centre-backs available. We just don't. The reality is Manchester United don't want to pay the money. We can skirt around the issues, but Jose Mourinho has, whatever you think about Mourinho has put this out there publicly over the last few weeks. He is not getting what he needs. But most Manchester United fans know anyway that the club don't want to spend money. They're more than... We are Arsenal. In relation to what our board want to do, they want top four every season, where the money churns in. I mean, they've announced another brand deal this today to do with whiskey. Another brand deal announced today. There was one a couple of days ago, another new betting company. So Manchester United are all, they're busy doing all these brand deals. I wonder if these brands are actually looking at what they are sponsoring now, because they need to start looking at it. The US tour was a shambles. Not many people were turning up. They're pulling all this money in. It's like they're trying to squeeze every little drop out of this brand that is Manchester United before the world wakes up and realises, actually, they've got a massive fan base, but the fan base is fuming. And that's the problem that Manchester United face. We started the summer, we all said left back, centre back, right midfielder, two midfielders is what we require. What have we got? We landed on our feet, lucky having Pereira. We've got Fred in, which was a good signing. We've got no left back, no centre back, and no right midfielder at this point, and we've got a day to sort it all out. And the theme is that Manchester United have got the money to spend. They don't want to spend big money and give agents big money for players that aren't better than what we've got. We pay Phil Jones money to play football. Everybody in the Premier League's better than Phil Jones. Go and spend the bloody money. I find it absolutely ridiculous what's happened. And I think I'm in a state of shock. I don't know what many of you think. Mark, question, let Pogba and Martial leave or sack Jose, says Liam McRae. Well, I wouldn't let Pogba and Martial leave. I wouldn't let them go. We have good players. Jose doesn't want to play them, says Sabatashi. Well, this is what I was going to say as well. We're doing a season preview here. Can Manchester United win the league? Well, we've seen the negativity of Jose Mourinho over the last few weeks on the US tour. How do you expect his mood to be better when he's not being given any players? He was on about he wanted 2. I still think something will happen tomorrow because it can't not happen. I think the meltdown is going to be ridiculous if we don't do business. But at this late stage, what business are we going to do? The left back's not going to come in. The centre back, I mean, you know what? Boateng apparently turned us down. What will we do? To be honest, I'd rather not sign anybody than Jerome Boateng. But Maguire and Alderweireld, as I've said before. Right midfield, there's nothing cooking. There is nothing cooking. I think we're going to be lucky to get a centre-back next season. And what does that mean towards next season and what Manchester United can do? Who are our rivals? Well, Spurs haven't really spent, but they will be a decent team. Chelsea are in a similar situation to us, where I think everything's been left too late. They got their manager in too late. Yeah, they've got Jorginho. I think they will do a deal or two tomorrow, but they've left it very late. Everybody's been hindered by the early closure of the transfer window in the Premier League. Arsenal, forget Arsenal. I know Flex and DT are having a charity bet of £100. I'd be happy to treble that. Arsenal are not finishing above Manchester United. They haven't made very good signings. They've made signings. They're a bad side. Liverpool have made decent signings. And they're a decent footballing team who know what is expected of them, and their fans are very engaged and excited. Manchester City haven't made many signings, but are far and away the best team in England. So a lot of people think that Manchester United will finish third this season, and I think that probably is fair. Can Manchester United win the league this season? My feeling is that yes, we can, because Leicester won the league a couple of years ago. But in the start, the reality is now we're not going to win the league. I was hoping that I would be doing this season preview. Over the last 3 months, I've been hoping that we would get the players in that we needed, and I would be able to sit here and say it's going to be really tough because City are a decent side, but we've made the improvements we needed to make. I think we can give them a real push. My personal stance is, and I want to get a few of your opinions on this, I think we will be firmly in third or fourth. I don't think we are going to be anywhere near the title. I think we are worse than we were at the end of last season. I think Man City are the same, if not slightly better, with Mahrez. And we've done nothing to close that gap. And some fans will say, yeah, but if we turn some of them losses against West Brom and Newcastle into wins, but we had a good record against the top 4 last year, we might not be able to replicate this year. I fear that Manchester United are blasting towards oblivion with Mourinho. I mean, I think Mourinho is going to be livid. As I said last night, even if United did get players in tomorrow, they can't play against Leicester. So that Leicester becomes a jeopardy game straight away, because if we don't win that, we'd lose those points because we're ill prepared. We knew the likes of Pogba and Lukaku weren't going to be back in time and nowhere near match fit. We knew that the summer transfer window was 3 months and we could have got some players in that could have played against Leicester. We've made an absolute shambles of it. We really have. Jake says, I think we're going to sign Maguire because Jose looks probably focus on Maguire. Okay. Sebastian Dutta says, if Jose changes and encourages the key players like Pogba, Sanchez, Lukaku, then we have a chance to win the league. I think that's a very important from Sebastian as well, is that yes, we can talk about signings, we can talk about the attitude of Jose Mourinho, but if you're not going to get the signings, what can Manchester United do to close the gap between them and Manchester City with the same squad? The only thing they can do is start playing fast-paced, pressing, attacking, more risk-based football and stop being so defensive. That's all they can do. But when I look at this team here, I wouldn't have Ashley Young in, I wouldn't have Phil Jones in. I mean, Valencia's got to stay, and I wouldn't have Lingard in. And they're the 3 positions, funnily enough, that we should have improved. Left back, centre back, right midfield. If we'd made those 3 signings, I'd still be sat here now saying it's tough because it depends how Jose's going to play, and also Man City are a very good team. The reality is we haven't made those 3 signings. We've still got Young, Jones and Lingard who are likely to play. We are 3 players weak. And I'm not calling Jesse Lingard weak. He's a very good squad player, but that was a position that Jose Mourinho wanted to improve, and we haven't done it. And you look at what we've done this summer as well. we've sold Daley Blind. Darmian's still here. Rojo's still here at the moment. Maybe that can happen. Maybe he will leave. Phil Jones is still here. Chris Smalling's still here. Some people don't like him. I don't mind Smalling, to be honest. But we've done nothing out, virtually, apart from Daley Blind. And we've done nothing in. It has been quite categorically shambolic from Manchester United. And if the Glazers weren't so in love with themselves and Woodward and how much money, they've basically got a tap of gold flowing out of Manchester. If they weren't so happy with that money that was flying in and we actually were a football club, Woodward would probably be sacked. He would. If this was about football, he would be sacked. If it's about business, well done. You're brilliant at getting brand deals in. But if it's about football, this has been a bloody shambles for Manchester United this summer. An absolute joke. And our rivals are looking at us laughing their head off. But the more important point really is, do you feel that this season is already a waste of time? Because remember last December, Manchester City beat us at Old Trafford, the gap was into double figures, and we pretty much knew the title was gone last December. And a lot of people were like, well, let's see what happens in the Champions League. But really, we're already looking forward to next August now to try and sort this problem out. Here we are in August, and we've done nothing. And are we looking at another season of mundane feeling amongst our support that we actually can't do anything? Sabotage, he says, even Messi can't help us because of the way we play football. Well, that is an element that I think it is very relevant. When I look at the season ahead and some of the positives, who do I think is going to do well? Well, I think Lukaku will always score goals at Manchester United. I for one, I've always said I don't see us finishing out the top four, regardless of the lack of investment, regardless about Mourinho. I mean, the only jeopardy to that is that if Mourinho walks, which I don't think he would because he's entitled to quite a lot of money, or if he forces the sack. I mean, I read something today. Somebody said he might try and sell Pogba and Martial in a couple of weeks when we haven't got replacements just to force the sack. But he can't force them out. The club would have to sanction that. So Mourinho is not going to suddenly turn up to the Leicester game on Friday and be happy, is he? But I feel that Manchester United will certainly finish in the top four no matter what, because I think we've got the quality there to do that. I think Lukaku will be our top scorer again. I think he'll be good. I predict already that David De Gea will be our player of the season because I think he's going to be busy, as he has been for the last 5 years. And you have to wonder why David De Gea is still here. And you have to wonder why David De Gea hasn't signed this long-term contract that everyone touted he was going to do. I suspect that there are big problems at Manchester United. You could read it many ways. How about the board aren't spending money because they haven't got faith in Mourinho anymore? That is something that's been floating around a bit. Nightmare TV says we should have Woodward just the head of business, brand type of things, and someone else in charge of transfers. Well, I thought about saying that, Nightmare TV, but the problem is, why would that ever work if the purse strings are tightened? I mean, Mourinho has spent about £75 million this summer, but actually we've got 15 million of that back from Daley Blind, which knocks it down to 60 million. Rojo will be sold, that knocks it down to about 30 million. So we spent 30 million pounds. 30 million pounds is a pittance. There's got to be more money for a club that is Manchester United and wants to win league titles, and there doesn't seem to be. What if our team turns up with the same tactics and attitude that we played with in the second half of the game against City at the Etihad, says Lucas Taylor. What if? If that happens, we'd be okay. I still think that Manchester United under Jose Mourinho have started the last 2 seasons off very well. If you look at our first few games, we've got Leicester, Brighton, Spurs. I think we'll take 9 points. I actually think we'll start off well and we'll stay in contact with the league leaders, which will probably be City. But I think when we hit October time, we'll struggle again, like we did in both of Jose Mourinho's seasons. And why did he struggle in October? He got key injuries. Last season it was Pogba. And we don't have the squad depth because we haven't brought in a quality left back. We haven't brought in a top quality centre back, and we haven't brought in a right midfielder. We don't have the strength in depth. I mean, you look at that team and you erase Sanchez injured, Rashford comes in because it won't be Martial. Pogba injured, you're going to have to play Fellaini. He's always said that. Young gets injured, you're playing Luke Shaw. Jones gets injured, you're playing Smalling. You know what I mean? We haven't got the depth. But those players will get injured. Not all of those players, but they will pick up injuries. So I think on their day, Manchester United, as was said there, against Manchester City at the Etihad, we have the players to turn it on the day. But over a 38-game season, one, I think we've got a manager who will never let the horses run freely for 38 games, not even 20 games. Two, we haven't got the quality in our squad. We've got Phil Jones, who will probably cost us another 10 points. You've got Fellaini, who, I don't know what he offers other than hoofball, which is, pretty much dead in the modern game. You've still got Rashford, who isn't the finished article, and how does he get to be the finished article when he's clearly not going to be a starter for United? You've got Martial, who could be a world beater, but he doesn't want to use him. You've got the same issue here. If these two are playing together, they're going to get in each other's way. So I would have liked to have seen the 3-5-2. I would have liked to have seen, a more focus on Pogba and Sanchez and getting the best out of them, because we have got some really good players. But I think every fan has a right to be very, very concerned this season. What do you see happening with Martial and Rashford this season? Do you think Sanchez will stay on the left wing and will Pereira play? Says Nightmare TV. Well, I'm hoping that Pereira will play against Leicester City on Friday night, but Matic will always be his number one, so Pereira may get few and far between chances. Maybe he'll go on loan. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't mentioned Scott McTominay. This is the player that Jose Mourinho believes was his player of the year last year and is one for the future, but I just don't see it. I don't see that quality there. So, and that's the line for me. I don't see the quality for Manchester United. And Jose Mourinho is obviously an advocate of that. He wants to bring players in. They've not been provided. And if you, like I said, if you are Jose Mourinho in or you are Jose Mourinho out, you have to sympathise with the situation that he wanted new signings this summer and he's not been given them. Perisic last summer, this summer, well, we don't know yet, but it could be 2 or 3 signings he's not been given. That points to a massive issue within the club hierarchy. Either, well, why are they not backing Mourinho? Or really, would they just not be backing any manager because they don't want to spend money, they just want to make money? And if that's what Manchester United is, that is a big problem for the Manchester United fan base, because we're not going to go anywhere. We're still going to buy the shirts, we're still going to support the club, but when we know that that money is not being invested, not anywhere near, and the money is pouring out of the club to these rich owners who don't really care about the club, what happens with the club then? Because all I can say is, at the end of last season, we were 20 points behind Manchester City. We were a million miles behind them in the quality of football, the entertainment factor, an absolute gulf. What have we done over this summer? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing has changed. Yeah, we've had a couple of players come in, but a kid, a reserve, and Fred, and Daley Bling's gone. Not enough's gone out. Not enough's come in. We've not been ruthless. We just, and there doesn't seem to be. Our manager seems to be in a worse mental state than he was in May. Everything about the club is worse than it was in May, when actually what we needed was some robust positivity to build for a new season. And it feels like, and I know it feels a little bit like it anyway because of the World Cup, but you look at Liverpool, they lost the Champions League final, and that was a massive opportunity for them. All that's happened over the summer, they've not wallowed in that. They've bought players, they've built positivity, it's continued, and they're excited for a new season. Manchester United, we finished second best team in England, and everything's got worse. Our manager's negative, there's talk of dressing room unrest, we've not brought new players in, it doesn't look like we're going to bring new players in. To be totally blunt, I don't see how we can win the league title. I don't see how we can win it. And to be saying that before a ball has been kicked, I don't think I even thought that when Moyes was manager. I didn't want Moyes, but we were tight. We were the champions, so you had to think maybe. And then with Van Gaal and Mourinho's first few years, I did think, maybe we could do it, but I don't think we can do it. And if we're sat, the big question is, if we're sat here now like me, and you don't think Manchester United are going to win the league this year, well, this was the year that Jose Mourinho needed to win the league, or he needed to go. So maybe he should just go. Maybe he should just go. And I'm not saying sack him. I'm saying, what's the point, Jose? I don't think you can win the title with this team. So are you just going to spend a year here even more unhappy because you've not been backed and having your reputation tarnished even more? Serious questions need to be asked at Manchester United. Stephen Willock says, if he asked for 30 years, then he shouldn't be backed. If he asked for 30-year-olds, then he shouldn't be backed, which is fair enough from Stephen Willocks. Right, let's have a last few comments from you lot telling us where you think Manchester United are going to finish this season and why. Gareth Bale, we need to get him, says Fahima. Absolutely no chance. There is no dressing room unrest. Don't believe the media, says Jaron George. I haven't got that from the media, so there you go. There is dressing room unrest. I'd respect you, Jose, if he walked now, says Jonathan Ball. I would respect him if he walked now. I don't want him to walk now, but if the club are not giving him the money, what a massive indicator to the fans that would be if Jose Mourinho walked and went, I can't work at this club. They will not back managers. I mean, that would leave the club in absolute turmoil, wouldn't it? And it would make the fans fully aware of what's going on. But, you know, we are in a situation where we are saying we cannot win the league. Well, I am. I just can't see it happening. Unless something amazing happens in the next 24 hours, of which there's no indication it will. Selwyn Greedage says 4th. Samuel says 3rd. Patrick Kavanagh says 5th. 8th, says Johnny Brown. That would put us below Arsenal. That's not going to happen. 1st. Interesting from Akadi Sabig. I mean, you never know. 4th, if we're lucky, says Paul McKeown. 5th, only above Chelsea, says Manan. 6th or 7th, says Ricky Rich. Ross Gallagher says 5th. Look, if Jose Mourinho gets so angry that he leaves Manchester United, I think things would get better very quickly, because whether they moved Carrick in as a caretaker or whether they brought Zidane in as a replacement, the football would change instantly. And we've got players that if they were allowed to play football, we'd be a better team. So, but I still believe that if Mourinho sorts himself out and is a little bit more positive, he will get us top 4. I don't think we can win the league. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And remember, we are back at 8 o'clock tonight live. 8 o'clock live on the United stand. Get your comments in below if you have watched, if you haven't watched. What I want to see is a few sentences. What you think is going to happen this season. What you think about the transfer activity. What have been your positives and negatives from the end of last season to now? What's changed? And who do you think is going to be our player of the year next year? Get your comments in below. Really looking forward to read some of those, and I'll read some out on the 8 o'clock show tonight. Thanks for watching. Speak to you all soon.